Okay, let me just quickly look this up here. Apathy, want of feeling, absence or suppression of passion, emotion or excitement, insensibility, indifference. Yeah, that about sums up how I feel after Chelsea lose 1-0 at Stamford Bridge to Man City. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. Essien! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P, for what is your Chelsea match review, but more specifically, a tactical synopsis, if that's what you want to call it, of Chelsea's performance against Man City. But before I get into all that, ladies and gentlemen, friends, foes, do me that favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're back then, you'll hit that bell notification button to keep up the latest and the newest. It helps me attach to the algorithm and allows more people to see this content. It helps me and it also helps my sponsors who go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Hit them up. The link will be in the description. Okay, so here we are again. New year, same problems. Chelsea lose 1-0 to Man City at Stamford Bridge, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm just apathetic right now. You know, I watch these games mainly just to give you guys this review. You know, it's not because I'm getting any excitement or joy out of watching Chelsea play 45 minutes of football, then shutting off 30 minutes here, 20 minutes there. Like, I can't tell you the last time I've seen a complete performance from Chelsea, minute 1 to minute 90. It just doesn't happen. The effort, you know, the energy, you know, the passion, the commitment that is needed to win big matches is just non-existent at this club right now. We see 45 minutes of okay, decent football where, you know, we were probably in the ascendancy, and then we just drop off and you see what you saw in the second half where Chelsea just can't string together 2 passes and, you know, are just inept in the final third. Like, this is broken record central, man. We always seem to be doing the same things over and over and over again. But one aspect of Chelsea's game that I think we need to focus on in this match review is their counter attack, because we don't often see it. Obviously, Chelsea are more of a possession-based team, and it was noticeable when they got into the counter attack situations that they didn't know what they were doing. We're going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at Cucurella. We're going to be looking at Zacharia. We're going to be looking at our midfield too, and of course Chelsea's ability to hold up the ball and again build attacks. Now, the surprise of many, Chelsea came out in a 4-2-3-1, which was counter to a lot of people thinking that they're going to be playing with a back 5, back 3 to slow down the passing lanes for Man City. And for the most part in the first half, I thought we did a good job at snuffing out everything. I thought Koulibaly and Silva were just imperious in there, like excellent games from both of them. They really did control what Haaland wanted to do. You know, he did get in behind a couple times, but he wasn't really threatening the entire match, and that was mainly down to our center backs. I thought they had a brilliant game. They really did marshal. They really did protect. Kepa gave him nothing to really work with. So hats off to those two. Like, obviously going into the game, I was very, very nervous about what somebody like Haaland would be able to do to a defense that has been leaking goals left, right, and center. You know, our defenders, in particular Koulibaly, not having the best game. Obviously, in this particular match, he was moved back to his left side, and he was brilliant, obviously. But, you know, in the 2 matches previous, you know, it was fits and starts in the first game against Bournemouth, better first half than the second half, and then, of course, against Nottingham Forest, he was awful on the right. And I'm glad that Graham Potter listened to my review and moved him back to the left where he's a little bit more comfortable, and it paid dividends. I thought him and Silva marshaled the game incredibly and didn't give them a lot of chances, you know, to play in behind, play Haaland in behind, or even get runs in off of like the likes of Foden, you know, reverse balls and whatnot. We just snuffed out everything, and, you know, they were one of the 2 shining lights in this game for me. But one of the things I really do want to focus on is Chelsea's counter-attacking scenarios. Like, normally when you see a team counter-attack, when they play at a counter-attacking style, you can tell that it's something that they work on the training pitch time and time again. I remember under Conte, you just knew it was so well orchestrated. When we got into counter-attacking scenarios, we just knew where everyone was going to be. The passes were crisp, sharp, and quick. And right now, you know, Chelsea just don't look, again, we don't get into counter-attacking situations a lot, but whenever we do, we just look like a fish out of water. It's just so uncomfortable for us to, you know, move the ball quickly, find runners off the ball, and even when we do, the decisions that we make on the ball are just always the wrong one. Like, and if you rehearse these moves, this is why I question whether or not we even actually work on this stuff in training, like whether or not you work on counter-attacking scenarios, because normally what you do in those situations, you know where the receiver of the ball is going to be. You know who's breaking where. You know who's making runs where. And those orchestrated moves, those orchestrated runs allow for it to be a seamless, quick transition. And we just don't see that with Chelsea. You see one guy, you'll dribble past, get into open space, and then he's not looking around. He's just like so, I guess, nervous, the fact that he's actually gotten into space, that the next pass is always to the nearest receiver, and then it slows down the move. And then as you slow down the move, because the passes aren't quick, sharp, and accurate, the defense reshapes and the opportunities are gone. That's one instance that we see from Chelsea when we get into counter-attacking situations. The other one is, we get on the break, we have 3v2, 3v3, 3v4, which are still very favorable situations if you have an orchestrated counterattack, and we just always choose the wrong decision. You see opportunities where, Aubameyang's breaking through the middle, and all he has to do is press it out to the wide areas to one of our wingers, and it doesn't go there, it goes somewhere else, or it gets turned over. You see Kai Havertz get on the break, instead of playing it into space where he can get back onto the ball, he's playing it out wide. And the moves just break down so easily because Chelsea make the wrong decisions when they get on the ball. It's almost as if our attackers don't feel like they have a lot of time, and when they don't have a lot of time, they get nervous, and the decision making is just poor. We've seen this time and time again with Chelsea, decision making being a problem. I'm not talking about the decisions that lead to us getting into the break situations. Like, obviously that was pretty good today. I thought Zacharia had a good game, dribbling past and then releasing. But once we got the release, and we had numbers running at them, we just never made the right decision to make that incisive pass to get in behind it. And it just gets so frustrating when you watch that time and time again. We get on the break. We have very limited opportunities to get on the break, in particular with Man City. So every time you get on the break, you have to be efficient with your touches. You have to be efficient with where you're trying to play the ball. You can't make mistakes in those situations. These are things that need to be rehearsed time and time again. And for whatever reason, we just don't see that with Chelsea, this particular version of Chelsea. And it's frustrating because, one aspect of the game is possession, and then, we're not very good at possession right now. And of course, when we get on the break, you think you have runners, you have the Pulisic, you have Raheem Sterling, you have Kai Havertz, who's good at running into space and whatnot. Zacharia looked good running into space. But every time we making those rooms, we don't have the brain. We don't have somebody that's thinking about what the next action is. Where can we get the most action? Where can we play the most successful ball to get us in behind and, really cut through the defense? Like, ideally, you just need somebody that's an orchestrator. And maybe, that is Enzo Fernandez. Obviously, he's not coming anymore. But you need somebody that can just orchestrate and organize what you're trying to do in counter-attacking situations. Granted, this is not something that Chelsea often want to be in. We want to be on the front foot for most of the game, every game, but against a team like Man City, you would think that the game plan would have been to try and hit them on the counter, since you're not going to, have more possession than them. And, it just frustrates me that in those situations where we did get breaks, where we did find, runners down the flanks and stuff like that, the passing was just horrific. I just really think that Chelsea just don't have capable passers. And when I talk about capable passers, I'm not talking about somebody that's going to pass the ball 90% of the time, just keeping it in front of them, simple pass here, simple pass here. Passing, to me, a great passer is somebody that possesses more than just the ability to find the foot of the receiver. It's somebody that has vision to know where the pass needs to be in order for somebody to run onto it. We saw times today, Kovacic, we're getting on the break again, and he's leading like Lewis Hall. And, he has acres of space to knock it into, but, again, the vision's just off because he pushes the ball way, way forward. Lewis Hall can't catch up to it, and it's out of bounds, That's what I mean by having a gifted passer in this side, like somebody that can understand weight of pass, vision, and has the creativity to see something that the defense doesn't. We just don't have that type of passer. And we don't have somebody that, when they're on the ball, they're composed and like controlling the situation as well. We're trying to just basically run as fast as we can, hopefully getting away from the defenders, and hopefully we can ward off the challenges, but we're not passing the ball with any real efficiency, with any real cutting edge to get in behind the defense. And as a result, we run down, we send like 4 or 5 guys just streaming down, and, the passes are inaccurate, slows down the counter-attacking scenario, or it's a turnover. And this repeats time and time and time and time again with Chelsea. Now, the other aspect of this attack that seems to be a real problem is that almost every one of our attackers does not respond well to being put under pressure when on the ball. It either leads to a turnover, like a failed dribble attempt that's a turnover, getting dispossessed. It means a wayward pass that, produces another turnover, or it's just, like getting caught in possession and getting tackled. Like every one of them just does not have the awareness and, of course, the ingenuity to like play the ball quickly, ward off pressure, have the composure to ward off the pressure and, make an action that cuts through the defense. It just seems we don't have, it's not about creativity for me. It's just the ability to keep the ball and hold it under pressure. Either we're too frail when you look at Kai Havertz, or, we're taking too many touches before the defenders, recuperate and get back into position for the likes of like, somebody like Ziyech or, Pulisic, for instance. It's a culmination of these things that make it very difficult for Chelsea to break down defenses. The fact that we dwell on the ball too long because we're dribbling, we're trying to find space and taking way too many touches. And then we don't have the accurate passers that can just like, ward off a defender and then play it into space for somebody to come onto it and, make an action that is, incisive enough to threaten their goal. Like these are the things that I see time and time again. It's not about being able to pass the ball 5 feet. It's about the vision to see beyond that, the vision to see what the best scenario is in this scenario. When you have an attacker there, attacker here, and attacker there, where do I need to play the ball to make the most impact when I'm in possession? And we just don't possess it. We don't have any attackers that think the game that way, that understand. And it's not going to be answered by shuffling the decks and bringing on, Chukwuemeka, or, shuffling the decks and bringing on Ziyech. Like, these are the problems that we have with most of our attackers. Raheem Sterling didn't have much to do today, but it's the same problem with him. Like, every time he's getting on the ball right now, it's a failed dribble attempt and a turnover. And, I don't know, guys. Like this really needs to be addressed. The ability to keep the ball in the final third, move it quickly, slow the game down in your head while the game speeds up in the final third. All of these things, like the cerebral things that we need, like a real thinker of offense, somebody that can really control the pace of the game and whatnot, and really make that incisive pass. Is composed on the ball. These are the guys that we just don't have right now. I don't even know. I'm still trying to figure out what Kai Havertz's strength is. I don't know. I'm like, if you guys know, please leave it in the comments, because I'm not seeing where his strengths lie right now. His touch is not the greatest. His first touch, it usually is dribbling 3-4 yards away from him and stuff like that. When he gets into the box, he's not the most clinical. Like, I'm trying to figure out where he's best suited in this lineup and what are his attributes. Everyone says his movement's good. His movement's decent. He comes deep sometimes to collect, helps us build attacks, spins in behind every now and then, but he doesn't necessarily possess that, that breakneck speed that, like, when he spins in behind, that he's going to be separating from defenders. He's got average speed at best, so the ability to use his movement is not necessarily going to get us into the best goal scoring positions, because he's not the most fleet of foot anyway. So even when he's timing his runs correctly, which is not very often, let's be honest, he's not really separating from the defense. He's still putting himself under an immense amount of pressure, and then when he's under that pressure, he's turning it over. So I don't know, guys. We got a lot of work to do all over the pitch, and this is an area that I really, really think that we need to address as well. I know that the midfield needs a lot of attention, and of course, how we play down the flanks needs a lot of attention. But for me, it's just having somebody that can just think the game correctly in the attacking scenarios that is most evidently needed right now. Now, to be honest, it wasn't all doom and gloom. Like, it wasn't 1-0. We did have a good first half. We just could not put together the second half once City geared up again. Once City went into their second and third gears, we just couldn't match it. And, that's basically fundamentally how Chelsea have been playing the entire year, whether it be against Man City or Nottingham Forest. Like, when teams go through the gears and go from first gear to second gear to third gear, we don't have the ability to match the tempo of the game, match the rhythm of the game. So, I wasn't surprised when they scored. I'm just more about not taking the opportunities that are presented to us. And again, it wasn't all doom and gloom. I thought that we played some decent minutes in the first half, and we had some good performances. Like I said, Khalidou Koulibaly, Silva were imperious the entire game. And I thought Dennis Zacharia had an excellent game. My last match review, I was berating this guy because I just did not know where he fit in this side. You know, clearly he's better playing counter-attacking football than he is possession-based, because he's not a very good passer, and he's not a guy that has that vision to find those passes that I was talking about earlier. But in terms of counter-attacking, his ability to like break, you know, get the ball, dribble past, and, you know, gallop into space, it's pretty good. It's pretty decent. You know, he's not bad in those scenarios. It's just, how often do Chelsea get into those scenarios? Like, how often are we, you know, not going to be a possession-based team to make use of his best attributes, which is basically running at teams on the counter? But having said that, I thought he was a good game. I thought his reading of the game was decent as well. He tracked runners well. He broke up play well. He was able to use his physicality in the midfield, something that we don't see very often. He was good. He was our best midfielder by far. I thought he outplayed Kovacic, who didn't really have any influence and was losing runners. People were running off of him all game. Had it not been for Koulibaly and for Silva, I think that we probably would have seen more goals than we did. But again, like, I'm going to take my hat off to Dennis Zacharia. I thought that he had a good game in this particular setup. And hopefully he can just build on this, man. We need, I don't care who it is. We just need players to have good performances, consistently good performances, for us to get out of this mire that we seem to find ourselves in, where we can't find our top gear. We can't find a complete 90 minutes of football. You know, I thought he gave us some good minutes. I thought we got some good minutes from Koulibaly and Silva. And really, that's about it, you know? Now, much of the talk in Chelsea Twitter, Chelsea, you know, any social media is about the loss of Enzo Fernandez not wanting to play the release clause and whatnot, not trying to pay overs for a guy that, you know, is 21 years old, trying to, you know, buy out. I'm all for it. I don't think that Chelsea should be paying any kind of release clauses for any player coming off a decent World Cup. If there's any evidence of why you do not do that, it has to be Cucurella. I mean, Chelsea have proven to me that they've overspent on Cucurella, and, you know, by a fair margin as well. This is not where we saw the want matching the need. Obviously, Chilwell coming back from injuries, and there was a situation where we needed somebody to, you know, give us good minutes, you know, in a reserve role, you know, come on the bench, push for the starting role. And it's not that he's bad. It's not like he's not capable of doing that. It's just the fact that we paid £65 million for this guy to be, you know, challenging Chilwell. And I don't think that he's given us enough, to be honest. I really don't think that he's given us enough to justify that price tag of $65 million. You hear City was offering 45, and they weren't going a penny over that. We went 20 million over that, and I just don't see the quality to justify paying £65 million for a left-sided center back, a left-sided wing back, left-sided full back, you know. And today just gave me more reason to believe that this was an overspend. You know, the first 45, I thought he was very, very good. You know, he snuffed out, won a lot of his challenges, won a lot of his duels and whatnot. But again, in the second half, he was just invisible, getting spun around time and time again, played in behind. You know, just looked so frenetic and like lost in the defensive shapes. And, you know, like, we weren't punished, but it looked like it was going to happen sooner rather than later. Overall, I'm not seeing the type of application from this left-sided player that we have that would be conducive to paying £65 million for him. I know he's 23 years old. He's really just adjusting to playing, you know, big minutes for a big club. And it's just, I don't know, I'm just not seeing enough from him, and I'm hoping that he'll turn around and give us a complete 90 where we can say, yes, this is why we paid $65 million for this guy. But as of right now, what I'm seeing is just average footballer at best. Well, there you have it. There's my match review, guys. I just don't know what else to say. You know, I'm just really apathetic when it comes to Chelsea right now. I don't know when we're going to get out of this, how we're going to get out of this. I know it's going to take a long, long time. I'm not blaming Graham Potter for this. I really do see that these are problems that have been persistent for years now. You know, this fact that, like, we don't have a complete squad that is assembled for one particular manager. And, you know, of course, some of the mistakes that we do see on the pitch are down to selection, are down to decisions that Graham Potter has made. But, I mean, he's been in charge for 4 months right now. You know, he's been interrupted with a World Cup. You know, I'm not blaming him right now. There's a lot of problems in this squad, and he's not helping, but he's certainly not the nucleus of the problem right now. So, I'm going to give him a bye for quite some time, because I always back Chelsea managers. I'm not the guy that, turns my back to managers not named Benitez. Every one of the Chelsea managers that have come in and, tried to implement their style of brand of football at this club, I've given them as long a leash as I can. That's certainly longer than that of the previous owner, and certainly, I plan on continuing that with the new ownership as well. So I'm all here for Graham Potter. He's not saying the best things in the media. It doesn't seem like he has a big game mentality. All that stuff will come in time, hopefully, but in the end, I'm not really at the point where I'm saying Graham Potter out or anything of the sort. We just have to find a synergy within the squad. Of course, the injury bug is a massive problem with this club right now. Massive problem when you consider we have N'Golo Kanté out, we have Chilwell, we have Reece James out. We're probably going to be without Raheem Sterling. We're probably going to be without Pulisic. We're out with Ruben Loftus. The list goes on and on. Fofana. There's so many players that we invested a lot in and expect a lot from that are not a part of the squad right now. So it's very hard to judge the manager based on the amount of injuries we have right now. With that said, he did give some debuts and some good minutes to Chukwuemeka, who I thought was all right actually. I thought he was decent. I want to see him in the midfield. I would like to see him in that number 8, number 10 role. I think that's where he might be flourishing best, as opposed to on the wing where obviously less responsibility, but more, you have to use pace more, and I don't think that he's most fleet of foot. I think he's more of a guy that uses his power and his dribbling technique to get into good areas. But maybe it's just down to the fact that tactically he's not quite there yet to harness, hold down a midfield 3. But in time, I want to see him there. I thought Hutchinson came on, looked nervous. Let's just be honest, looked nervous. He didn't really come in and really impose himself in the game. Gave away the ball a few times and just, hit and hope a few times as well. But, his time will come as he grows into the, matures into his role, gets more minutes. His time will come. Lewis Hall gave us some good minutes. Again, decision making let him down. I thought that he could have cut it back rather than shoot in the box in the dying minutes of the game. But again, these are just young decisions. I'm happy to see these young guys getting minutes, because at this time, it's better than seeing what we have on offer right now. It's better than seeing Ziyech out there. It's better than seeing, Pulisic out there. It's better than some of the options that we have available to us. Give these guys a run out. Let them find their football. They're at least going to give us the energy and the passion, and I'm all for that right now. If we're not going to win, if we're not going to be the side that's competing against the top sides, then at least give me the energy and the effort. And that's what I saw from these guys today. So hats off to them, hats off to Graham Potter for giving them the opportunity to play. And guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. You know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high and up the Chels. Peace.